Hello, this is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and it's time for another news roundup as we look at some of the more interesting stories in the auto industry from the past week. We will start with a startup. Not a lot of startups these days due to the challenging economic climate and the uncertainty around EVs, but Dacora thinks they can make a go of it. You probably have not heard of them, but they've been making the rounds in the media over the past week or so. This startup was founded by a husband and wife team of MIT engineers, and their plan starting next year is to open their design atelier and manufacturing campus in Hudson Valley and target a launch in 2028. And you'll see the headline here, the price point, $500,000. That is the target price for their first vehicle, which I don't believe has an actual name yet. If you want one, you can put down a deposit of $50,000, which is fully refundable. Dacora says they have enough deposits to cover 1.5 years of production. Now, is that 1,000 cars or 10 cars or somewhere in between? Don't know yet. If you go on the website, there's not a whole lot of information. That $500,000 price point puts it above a Cadillac Celestiq and a Rolls-Royce Spectre, which are the only two other entries if you want a zero emissions ultra luxury vehicle. As you can see, the design is very unique. You don't see a lot of current vehicles on the road that look like this because it is very retro. It includes coach doors, the rear opening rear doors like you see in a Rolls Royce, covered rear wheels, and yes, that is a handcrafted hood made out of wood. When you get inside the vehicle, things get equally interesting. One of the things that Dacora brags about is the customization and personalization, which of course you also get when you get a Rolls Royce or a Celestiq. And here they talk about swappable upholstery collections. So the idea is that the twice yearly drops would let owners change interiors like you change your wardrobe from like spring to fall. So, you might have a wool interior for the winter, a linen seats for the summer, and maybe some sort of limited edition materials throughout the rest of the year. It is a solid wood dashboard, but if you look really closely, it looks like some graphics, and there appears to be a navigation screen projected onto the wood. So it doesn't have a regular screen like so many cars these days, but it still has some sort of display. The big unknown, one of the big unknowns is what's underneath this vehicle. Dacora says they intend to use an existing skateboard from an American automaker. That pretty much limits it to probably Lucid or maybe General Motors with the Ultium platform, or perhaps Stellantis with Stella Large, which is the platform that's underneath the Dodge Charger. Possibly even Tesla if they were interested in making a little money. But they are already taking money despite not being able to tell you what's powering this. So that's kind of interesting. The specs are very impressive and, to be honest, a little difficult to believe. They're targeting a range of 400 miles and power output of 800 horsepower. The 6,500 pound curb weight that they quote is 1,000 to 2,000 pounds more than a Lucid Air, which gets anywhere from the low 400s up to 500 miles on a charge. So, and this does not look to be a super aerodynamic vehicle either. So I'm not sure I'm going to believe those numbers until we know a little bit more about the battery and the voltage and the architecture and the motors and everything like that. If you go to the website, there's no information on the leadership team aside from the two co-founders. It's not clear where the money for this is coming from. If you go into LinkedIn, you'll find 6 employees connected to Dacora. Not a lot of automotive experience there either. So it's too early to say whether this is going to fly or not, because I think we need to know a little more about the hardware, and we need to know a little bit more about the people that are actually going to make this happen and where the money is coming from. But like I said, they do apparently have some people that have put down deposits. So we'll have to wait until next year when, once that campus is open, I assume there'll be some hardware to look at. Next up is the BMW iX3. This is a rendering of the iX3. We've already seen a concept version of this product. We've seen some prototypes driving around, so the folks at Car Scoops decided to take a gander at what the production version will look like. The full reveal for the vehicle is at the Munich Motor Show in September. That's IAA or IAA. But they have since revealed some of the tech specs, and they've let some of the media get behind the wheel of camouflage prototypes. The tech specs look very impressive. They are targeting a 400-mile EPA range. 400 miles is better than almost any vehicle sold in the US except for Tesla and Lucid and a couple of the larger GM trucks. So for a compact SUV, that is very good. Comes to a 107.9 kilowatt hour battery that is 45% larger than the current iX3 battery. And remember, this is now on a dedicated EV platform. The current iX3 is a converted gasoline powered vehicle. And as a result, not very competitive from a spec standpoint, which is why BMW didn't even sell it here in the US market. The new class architecture that underpins the new iX3 is an 800-volt setup. That enables charging it up to 400 kilowatts, not through the whole charging cycle, but that's the peak, and that is very impressive. Most automakers can't get there unless they're Chinese. And so they're saying up to about 170 miles EPA equivalent in 10 minutes, or a 10 to 80% charge in 20 minutes with an NACS port. The new iX3, unlike the current vehicle, will also add dual motor all-wheel drive capability, and at the moment are claiming 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in about 4.9 seconds. Curb weight at 5,000 pounds makes the about 600 pounds heavier than the Tesla Model Y in roughly the same footprint, so not quite as mass efficient as Tesla. Inside, we will see a 17.9-inch parallelogram-shaped touchscreen, but will be supported by real physical controls, unlike Tesla, and the panoramic vision iDrive that puts a band of instrumentation at the base of the windshield. So lots more to come on this, but overall, the initial numbers look very competitive, and they will be beating Mercedes to market probably a couple of months. Mercedes will have their GLC EV visible, at least by the end of the year. And if we go over to Japan, we have the return, possibly, of the Subaru Brat or the Baja, or some sort of new compact Subaru pickup. This is the second-gen model that you're looking at here. Brat stood for Bi-Drive Recreational All-Terrain Transporter. It was originally launched in 1978 as a pickup derivative of the old Subaru DL and GL. It was a regular cab with 2 seats mounted in the bed. And I know that doesn't sound terribly safe. It sounds kind of fun, but it actually was done for, believe it or not, legal reasons. You may have heard of the chicken tax. The chicken tax is a 25% tariff imposed on any pickup imported into the US from outside the country. And putting those 2 seats in the bed allowed Subaru to classify the Brat as a passenger car and not a pickup truck, and so helped make this more affordable. The second generation, which is what you're looking at here, ran from 1982 to 1994. And then following that, in the 2000s, we had the Subaru Baja. The Baja was basically a crew cab pickup based on a Subaru Legacy or Outback. I gotta be frank, not the prettiest vehicle on the road, really awkward proportions. But if you needed room for 4 people or 5 people and needed an open pickup bed and wanted something that rode reasonably civilized, the Baja was the way to go. So the rumors have been all over the media over the past week that the Brat is returning to Subaru's lineup, based on a new Toyota compact pickup. Now, stories about a Toyota compact pickup surfaced several weeks ago. Toyota has said it's not a matter of if, but when, but they haven't released any details yet. It could be a body-on-frame truck that would slot below the current Tacoma here in the US. It could be a unibody truck based on, say, the Corolla Cross, or it could be electric, leveraging the EPU or electric pickup crew cab concept that was shown at the 2023 Japan Mobility Show. But there's already been some cross-pollination between Toyota products and Subaru products like the BZ4X and the Subaru Solterra, or the new Subaru Trail Runner and the Toyota BZ Woodland. So doing a cross-pollination between these two compact trucks certainly makes sense for both brands and would give them some economies of scale. But we'll have to wait for both parties to confirm exactly what is going on. And we'll finish up with Toyota, speaking of Toyota, and a lot of stuff going on in China. China remains the biggest market in the world. It's been having some challenges of late, but Toyota is in it for the long haul, and their partner in China is GAC. GAC Toyota has now decided that they will let that organization will now take a bigger role in Toyota's product development for the Chinese market, rather than just take a product development in Japan and drop it into China. GAC Toyota will appoint local personnel who know the market better to lead product development efforts for China, including new models and facelifts, and the goal is to build better products that are better suited to Chinese buyers. The BZ3X, which you see in the bottom right, is already in market. That is a compact SUV off a GAC platform. It will get self-driving technology from Momenta, a Chinese firm. They'll get their 6.0 intelligent driving system, which touts more than 50 different functions. It's Momenta's first partnership with a non-Chinese automaker. The BZ3X was introduced a couple of months ago. In the first 40 days, they've delivered 10,000 units. So it's definitely certainly more successful than some of Toyota's EV efforts of late. And then the vehicle in the upper left is the BZ7, which is a mid-sized sedan, comparable to a Tesla Model S, but of course a lot cheaper. This will feature a variety of China-sourced technology, including Huawei's Harmony cockpit and Drive One powertrain. Huawei is the big Chinese smartphone maker. It will also integrate with Xiaomi's accessory ecosystem. Xiaomi is a Chinese electronics giant, and like Sony, for example. And Xiaomi just recently entered the EV market, but they are also now working with partners. So the accessory ecosystem includes an in-car wireless phone charger, smart walkie-talkies, and high-intensity flashlights. And then meanwhile, Toyota will also work with Huawei and Tencent to develop an AI voice assistant, which is capable of recognizing individual users and providing proactive vehicle management. But that is probably about 3 years away from hitting the market. And then finally, some of the products that Toyota currently sells in China will be more localized. So things like the Sienna and the Highlander, which are technically global products, the China versions will be developed in China, and they will get China-specific e-Rev variants when the next generations of those models launch. So Toyota definitely committed to the Chinese market and realizing that in order to succeed in China, you need a little bit more of the local folks helping out. And that about wraps things up for Auto Perspectives this week. If you like what you see and hear, please subscribe and share, and visit autoperspectives.net for more information. And we'll see you back here next week. So long.